She was finally on track. We didn't do a whole lot before getting it on track. I'll go over a few things I did and what I'm going to do next, because we have a race in 2 weeks at VIR. So we put a shock and some modified carts in it. The shock is by Zorn at TWF Racing. It's a Penske double. This one's actually off like a Gixxer that we changed the bottom clevis in, changed the valving. We took a complete guess on spring rate and valving on front and rear, and it turned out absolutely just like perfect, beyond perfect. I may try a different valve in here. So I do want to work with Zorn on that. I'm going to try something different, but I had really no complaints. The tire had clearly no complaints. It was perfect. So all good in the hood on the chassis and suspension areas. The only thing else I did, I put on these Brembo rotors, took off the mirrors, which are super easy to take off. You have to take off these plastic pieces that are right here, and it's just 2 nuts. It unclips and they come out. And then I took off the license plate mount, obviously, and taped it to the lights. Even left the stock bars on, which are very high. It was very comfy, but it was kind of felt awkward sometimes in a corner just because of how high they are, but that will change. We got Renthal clip-ons paired with a Robum Engineering triple clamp. So thanks for Matt for sending all the Robum parts over. He's got the rear underslung caliper, a overflow, relocation bracket, shark fin, kickstand delete, a rectifier relocation, and then a matching Spiegler brake line for that. And then I went with Core Moto. I just measured my own and got some custom lines from Core. So we'll get going on the race prep. I was not able to secure any 660 fairings in time. I'm looking at like late June or early July from Hot Bodies. So I did get RSV4 fairings. I already know they'll work semi well. So we got to do that. I just picked the bike up today from the dealer to get the GP shift done. So all that is flipping the knuckle, leaving the stock sensor on, and then they change the ECU. Well, they change the software, do an update, and Aprilia sends them a code which they have to enter. So I got that done. And my kickstand delete was very simple. This little piece rotates on here when the kickstand's on, so I just found the spot where the sensor triggers that it thinks it's up, and then I just Gorilla taped it, stuck it in there. So that's what we did for the kickstand delete for the track day. If you see this goop running down here, don't worry, it's not from your engine. It's just the stock chain lube that kind of built up there and ran once it got hot. So finally can start race prepping. All right, while you're taking off your stock fairings, it's good to have something like this because there's a ton of Torx bits on this thing. Now, most of the fairings are 4mm hex. And like just for this one lower, there are 6 bolts just to take off your one lower, 3 down the middle, 3 on the side. And then, so now there's 3 for the other side, but you can see a ton of these on your fairings. They're all up in here. And then behind this, there are Torx. And the fun part is getting them all down the insides. So the front fairings are not fun to take off. The rear ones are much easier. Again, these 4mm hexes, just all over the place. This top plate part, these are 6mm Allens. There's a couple of them up there. So since we don't have our 660 fairings, I got a set of Sebimoto RSV4 fairings from Yoyodyne. They're carbon Kevlar. It's pretty light. So I do think we can get this thing mounted in here. It's not too far off. Some of this under here needs trimmed. It just hits the undertail, and that's where our reservoir mounted. And then up here, it's just a little bit past the tank and where it needs to be. But it's not too far off. So I think with a few trimming spots, I think we'll be okay. These two mounts seem to line up with the subframe, so hopefully once I drill those holes, those are lined up and we have a pretty easy race tail. Again, you can see because it's like pushed out here, it doesn't get to sit where it really wants to. So I already know the upper and lower will semi work pretty well. I don't know with the stock exhaust, but that's gonna be gone. One of the things I did for my trip is take off this sprocket guard. There's 3 M6 by 15 bolts that hold it on. So pull that off. Then I just took a little lightweight washer and titanium bolt to hold on because I wanted to keep this chain guide case guard in place. As you can see how big this front sprocket is. This is a 17 tooth, and the bike pretty much doesn't have any pull out of a corner because this gearing is so tall. So I've ordered one. Hopefully it comes in before VIR. Same with rear sprocket. We need to just get this thing shorter. Got the pain in the ass front fairings off. So now we're going to do the Robum Engineering relocate for the overflow. So take off this whole inside panel. You got 3 4-miller Allen keys to take off, and then all the hosies. Now, mad at Robum, these little brackets are nice and clean. Mounts to the existing mounts. We do have to take off, there's a little bracket here. You also have to take off that runs into it. But I'm gonna take off the fan too. Don't need that. So we'll get that done, we'll get this bracket mounted up. Now what we're doing on the other side, which we're gonna have to do anyway, just take this off. It's the same, or we're gonna relocate this rectifier, but it's the same thing. These 3. So you need to cut that zip tie, reroute these wires a little bit, and then this is going to get mounted off of this bolt. Robum Engineering has a bracket that's going to sit here, but it's already loose. All right. With the fan out, we can get our bracket on. See if I can do this with one hand. Use the OEM bolts. Matt supplies the Motion Pro overflow can with this. I like this kit. I've been using this Motion Pro overflow for a while now. So what's nice about it is Motion Pro provides a lot of tubing, the zip ties to mount it, and the hose clamps that you need. So we will run a hose from the natural overflow on the radiator down below up into the bottom of this, and then we will run a hose out the top, and that will be giant drained down to the belly pan. That does some good stuff. I already made a mistake. Should have drilled this bottom part. You gotta, these 2 nipples at the top and bottom for your hoses don't come pre-drilled. So you do need to punch a hole into it. That's better. Now for your true overflow tube, they provide a little cap, goes on top. You don't need to drain out that one. No worry, these can be a bitch to get in there, so that's pretty much it. Very nice and clean. I'll make some kind of bracket or something for the rest of it. Just make sure it gets down to the belly pan and not on your exhaust. But now we'll move over to the other side and get that rectifier relocated. Matt also, our Robum engineer, also has the quick, easy way. You can do it yourself. It's just basically connecting two wires together. You would just take this wire, connect these two wires, and take those two wires and connect them. But since Robum Engineering supplies that makes it way easier on us. So I can get this connector off. And you just done. And you can remove your kickstand switch. And that. So we'll get that bracket on there, which sits about there. But we gotta get our ABS lines off first. And then we can get that rectifier mount going. So these two lines, there's a little module right here, and you just gotta get your banjo. There's banjo bolts on, 2 for the front, 2 for the rear. So you get your tank off, and then you can get to those bolts. So once we get those off, then I'll get that mounted up. Now, since we gotta take off those ABS lines, that includes the rears, not just the fronts. So we're going to use Matt's, or Robum Engineering's, underslung caliper bracket. And then we already got some titanium pre-drill bolts so we can safety wire our rear brake. Most clubs should require you to safety wire your front and rear brakes and axles. So that includes this rear axle nut, but that's a pain in the drill. So of course we have these pre-drilled titanium nuts, also available on the website. So we'll get that stock one ripped off, get the wheel off, get the underslung bracket on. Obviously not needed for your basic track prep in terms of that underslung bracket, but it makes the rear wheel changes unbelievably easy compared to the stock one. I struggle a little bit for some reason with the stock hanger. The underslung makes it mad easy. Obviously we gotta get our ABS lines off. You need to take the tank off because the ABS module is right there. I saw it before, it's there. So to easily get to the banjos, come in here. It's kind of easier just to unhook the ECU here and pull the ECU out. So a little extra room. Here's our fuel line. And we also need to get in here to hook up the Jet Prime tuning module, which needs connected to your injectors. So we'll get that all squared away. And then last thing really to tackle would be our clip-ons and top triple clamp. So there they are. And you'll just, once you got those banjos out from the ABS module, the lines just kind of easily pop out from here. And you can see there's still a screw you gotta take out that pops out that holder because you don't need that anymore. And then the lines come up front, and there's a screw here. You gotta pull this out because that clamps them up in here. Take that out. Obviously then take off your banjos, get rid of this unnecessary stuff, and we'll put on our normal front brake lines. Got all that ABS stuff removed. We can finally get our rectifier, Robum rectifier remount bracket going. So just take your engine mount bolt off, which is a 13mm socket. Whew. Finally. Oh, spacer, hey. What size is this? M10 by I think 45, and the pitch is 1.5. So we'll replace this one with a titanium one. Now, the relocation bracket, I like this. I want to space it out just a hair, so I have a nylon washer that I'm going to put between the plate and the mounting plate. Oops, washer. So make sure you get your spacer up there. The reason I like the spacer, it's pretty close to that wire, and it gets really close to this clamp. So that just little bit, it's like a 2 or 3 millimeter spacer, gives you the room you need. And now your rectifier can get mounted, except I gotta spin this round because that hits it. But boom, on. So we rerouted this wire that comes over underneath this coolant hose up, zip tied. This is the horn mount or horn wire, kickstand delete coming in. Bingo. Very nice piece, easy to use from Matt at Robum. I know I've said that name a lot this video so far. Meh. We got our oil drain, and for racing, in most track you should safety wire this, or you have to. But these, I mean, it's hard steel and they're hard to drill, and it takes an 8 millimeter Allen to take off. So instead of using that, we got titanium ones. These are available at lwtracer.com for your Aprilia RS660. I also have them for SV650s and pretty much all the other bikes they're on there. But pre-drilled, much prettier, and you don't have to break bits trying to drill that annoying thing. This is the first oil change. So this is still the original oil. Yeah. Now, I don't know for sure yet, but I think these are the same oil filters that go on the SV650. Probably didn't want that coming off. And you can see here that this is a liquid cooled oil cooler. Now that is sweet. It is the same oil filter as our SV650. That is beautiful and amazing in every way possible. Oh, it's nice. Always put your hose clamp on for your safety wire. See if something to connect your oil filter to. And now I see exactly where I want to wire this to, because we want to pull it this way to keep it tight. There's another oil drain plug right here, which I do not have. This is bigger than your main oil drain plug. This one is, I think it's, I don't know, probably at M20. So I'm actually gonna drill this out, hopefully, and always wire that to that, and then I'm gonna try to get some drain plugs in, some titanium pre-drilled ones. to replace that oil drain fill. Drilled, and for the drain plug, I just drilled a little hole here in the oil pan, and that's it. Your final step for your oil, in terms of getting track use, is your oil fill. Just punch a little hole in it, safety wire it up to, I would do like this bolt, or you could even do this bracket if you don't have a hole in this bolt. Go around that bracket to it, boom. I'm not safety wiring this because I didn't put oil, but I'll show you that once there's oil in it. So the RSV4 tail is on here pretty good. These two rear mounts line up with the subframe drilled and tapped. The front, you have a slight issue here. Not really an issue, but those hang out. Not sure exactly what I want to do with those yet. Might just either Velcro them on there. I could cut them off, but the tail's on there solid. You know, it's an issue on both sides, obviously. The RSV4 upper works absolutely amazing. The lower does not work with the stock exhaust, but I know I had tried these on Sean's, which has the Aprilia, and they work on those. But I think if I do the track day this weekend, this is how I'll do it. Still waiting for my exhaust to come in. Hopefully that comes in before Moto America weekend in 2 weeks. Our Robum top triple clamp with the Renthal clip-ons. Got Core Moto brake lines on there. You might be like, oh, where'd that go? I don't want it on the bar really until I get like a smaller one. So I'm just probably gonna do it real half-assed and try to hide it down in there, because I'm just setting it to the time attack mode, which has ABS and traction control disabled, and then I'm not going to turn on traction control at all. Don't plan to, at least. So That's it for this one. Hopefully I'll remember to bring the GoPro to the next track day. I'll get some details to you guys on the suspension setup and everything we're doing there. It'll be in a couple days here for that track day, and then the very next week will be the first race. Still need a few parts like those engine covers and the exhaust. Other than that, I think we're pretty good to go.